Right now at 5.
We're not going to get Madeline back. Fravel can't be punished enough.
Adam Fravel found guilty by a jury of killing Maddie Kingsbury.
The jury and the state struck a blow for abused women today.
Tonight, Maddie's family on the long journey to get here and what's next. Plus, the Federal Reserve makes a decision on whether to cut interest rates again.
The red flag gun law, what Ramsey County is doing to make it easier to take the guns away from someone who is a danger to themselves and the community.
And they ran into a burning home multiple times.
This isn't my award. This is the award for everyone that was there that day.
Today, 2 St. Paul firefighters honored for their bravery. The news starts now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 5. The verdict is in for Adam Fravel as a jury convicts him of killing his children's mother, Maddie Kingsbury. A jury found Fravel guilty on 4 counts, including first-degree murder, which carries a mandatory life sentence. Lou Raguse has been covering the story from the beginning and was there today as the verdict came down. Lou?
Julie, Adam Fravel began crying before the jury even entered the courtroom, the first major emotion he's shown throughout this case, and he continued after the jury's verdict was read.
The family of Maddie Kingsbury finally able to express their true feelings about Adam Fravel.
You don't have to use this, but the village idiot thought he was a criminal mastermind.
Please use that.
Some levity, finally, after a Blue Earth County jury found Fravel guilty on all counts, including premeditated murder for Maddie's death, offering relief.
There's a almost palatable kind of in and out on our side of the courtroom.
And lifting at least one burden off Maddie's family.
The message has got to go out. You can't do this and get away with it.
You never want to see your loved one on this side. You'll never know the pain we went through.
The jury believed the testimony of Maddie's friends that Fravel abused Maddie. Without corroborating reports or photos, the defense accused them of making it up.
We've been called liars, colluders, bad friends, the cause of her death.
The friends, police say, got the investigation started immediately after Maddie disappeared on March 31st, 2023.
Katie Kolka realized immediately that there was something wrong.
I wasn't leaving that house until an officer was telling me that, hey, you know, we're gonna look into this.
More than 2 months later, Maddie's body was found hidden not far from Fravel's parents' house in an area he admitted being. Despite strong evidence, it was a complicated case to put together for Special Prosecutor Phil Prokopowicz.
It's just something, when you do this work for as long as you do it, there's certain cases you get a calling for, and this is one that you get a calling for.
And what was that calling?
Madeline.
Through the trial, her friends believe Maddie's story has been told.
It was like a weight was lifted off my shoulder.
We're never going to get our Maddie back, but he's never going to get out.
That's because that first-degree premeditated murder conviction means that Fravel will receive an automatic life sentence without the possibility of parole. And that will be handed down December 17th in a hearing in which the family can read victim impact statements. Julie.
Wow, an emotional, powerful day today.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lou.
Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. We all get knocked down. But the measure of our character, as my dad would say, is how quickly we get back up.
President Biden addressing the nation today for the first time since President-elect Donald Trump was reelected to office. Biden tried to comfort Democrats after the loss and emphasized the importance of an orderly and peaceful transfer of power to the new administration.
Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve.
Well, President-elect Trump says Biden has invited him to the White House, adding that he is making room in his schedule to make that happen. Meantime, in Wisconsin, Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin gave a victory speech today after narrowly winning a third term against Republican challenger Eric Hovde. And despite Wisconsin being one of the deciding factors in Trump's victory, Baldwin says she looks forward to working together.
While we worked our hearts out to elect Kamala Harris, I recognize that the people of Wisconsin chose Donald Trump, and I respect their choice. You know that I will always fight for Wisconsin, and that means working with President Trump to do that.
While this race has been called, Baldwin beat Hovde by just under a percentage point, which allows him to request a recount if he pays for it. Hovde has not conceded the race yet or said if he will ask for a recount. Tonight, we are still waiting to see which party will control Congress. Republicans have won the Senate, and they're trying to hold on to control of the House. They currently have 210 seats, adding one more just this afternoon, bringing their count up to 7 seats flipped so far. But with over 24 races still not called, it's anyone's game at this point. Ryan Nobles brings us up to speed.
Congress is going to look a lot different next year. For the first time in 4 years, Republicans are poised to take control of the Senate, flipping Democratic seats in Montana, Ohio, and West Virginia, while holding the state of Texas.
The results tonight, this decisive victory, should shake the Democrat establishment to its core.
But while their victories have guaranteed a majority, Democrats were able to limit the losses by picking up wins in blue wall states Donald Trump won. Incumbent Tammy Baldwin survived in Wisconsin, and Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin held on to an open seat in Michigan.
Tens of thousands of Michiganders voted for Donald Trump and Alyssa Slotkin on the same ballot. And it is my responsibility to get things done for Michiganders, no matter who's in office.
In the House, the picture is less clear. A couple dozen seats remain uncalled, and Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, who would be the first black Speaker of the House should Democrats take the majority, arguing the House is still very much in play and adding we must count every vote. But the remaining map favors Republicans, and the current House Speaker Mike Johnson expressed confidence he would keep his job.
We're going to have enough numbers to run the agenda through the House and the Senate, and President Trump is going to be a transformational president.
But no matter what, the margins will be tight, and Democrats are already vowing to keep a check on the new administration at every turn.
Well, along the southern border tonight, the Biden administration is making plans to deal with an expected surge in border crossings. ICE and the Department of Homeland Security are worried that more migrants will try to cross the border while Biden is still in office because they fear Trump will shut it down again once he's sworn in. Well, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates today 1/4 of a point. It's the second consecutive cut this year. Economists say the Fed made the cut because inflation is cooling, but it's not falling as quickly as most expected. Just in this afternoon, 3 people are in custody and facing charges connected to the death of One Direction singer Liam Payne in Argentina. The country's public prosecutor says someone was with Payne when he fell to his death from a Buenos Aires hotel balcony last month. That person left the scene. 2 other people, one who's an employee at the hotel, are charged with supplying cocaine to the singer. Payne's body was just released to his father this past weekend. Tonight, Edgar Barrientos Quintana is a free man. We received these pictures today. A judge vacated his murder conviction in September, 15 years after he was sentenced to life without parole for a deadly drive-by shooting. The Attorney General's Conviction Review Unit recommended his release back in August, saying there was no physical evidence linking him to the crime. The victim's family also supported his release. New details tonight on Ramsey County's efforts to keep guns out of the hands of potentially dangerous people. The county attorney laying out how law enforcement will use Minnesota's red flag law. Gordon Severson has details. Gordon?
Yeah, over the last few months, there have been several violent crimes where community members wondered, how did this person have access to guns despite some very clear warning signs? Today, the Ramsey County attorney says in many cases, it's due to a lack of understanding of how this new red flag law works and how it can be used to save lives.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Since January 1st, when Minnesota's red flag law first went into effect, Ramsey County Attorney John Choi says his office has requested 3 extreme risk protection orders to take a person's guns away. Statewide, he says 77 have been requested. That number may be lower than you'd expect. Choi says it's because law enforcement officials are still figuring out how to use this new tool properly.
That we can use this new tool and be intentional about it.
Choi says moving forward, his office will require every officer who refers a case for felony charges to fill out a checklist to see if the suspect may be a danger to themselves and others. If they are, the county attorney's office could request an extreme risk protection order to take their guns away.
This is about preventing tragedy.
Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher supports this aggressive approach because in many cases, he says, a dangerous person could walk away without charges, but an order could still take their guns away temporarily.
We talk to family members and they say, well, we tried to warn people. We called the police. We told you what was going to happen.
The county is also working to educate the community that family members can request an order to take a loved one's guns away as well. And there are options to keep that request private so they don't damage a person's reputation.
We can actually save lives. I really believe that.
Minnesota is one of 21 states that have a red flag law in place. The Ramsey County attorney says one of those states is California, and it took law enforcement leaders there several years to figure out how to use this law effectively. They're hoping to be ahead of the curve and to start training officers and social workers now so they can put this law to good use. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Gordon. New at 5, 2 firefighters are in the spotlight tonight for putting their lives on the line multiple times when tragedy hit St. Paul. And as Joe McCoy found out, these men say they'd do it all over again.
Some of the stuff that they did really humbled me as the fire chief, and I've been on for 30 years.
Not often do first responders do something so heroic that their colleagues take notice. But on January 3rd, firefighters Jacob Ricks and Mason Conlin did just that.
Each time they emerged, they carried an unconscious child, passing the victims to waiting EMS providers before plunging back into the smoke-filled home.
6 young children and their mother were trapped inside a St. Paul home. Ricks and Conlin ended up rescuing 5 of the kids, giving them a chance to survive. Tragically, 4 of them passed away at the hospital.
Not only did you choose to go back in on that night, but you choose to go back in every day on behalf of our community.
On Thursday, the 2 were presented with Firefighter of the Year awards by the Minnesota 100 Club. The nonprofit provides financial assistance to families who lost a first responder in the line of duty.
This isn't my award. This is the award for everyone that was there that day. It's the award for everyone in the ER and the ICU.
The 2 met the morning of the fire, but became best friends since, united through their heroism.
Any other job, or most other jobs, you can just kind of, you leave work and you're done with work. But this one's kind of like, it's all of you, right? It's everything that you do.
For me personally, loving my kids the way I do, loving my wife the way I do, that's why I go into a burning building. Because somebody loves those people just as much as I love my people.
A natural instinct, some might say, but one that comes naturally to so few. In St. Paul, Joe McCoy, Kare 11 News.
Wow. Pretty grateful to have men like that in service in our communities. We have just a few weeks until the puck drops for the Minnesota frost season. Coming up, we get our first look at their new uniforms. Plus, a few dozen monkeys on the loose in South Carolina, and they did not escape from a zoo. And a big update in the work for Apple's popular AirTags that makes it easier to find lost luggage. Those stories all coming up, but first, let's check in with Belle. Is it already dark out there, Belle?
It is, Jules. That sun sets before 5 o'clock, around 4:52. My goodness, there it is, already down. 48 degrees, a west wind at 11. It feels like 43. We have a cool night ahead with a little bit of cloud cover across the area. So right now it's 48 in the metro, 46 in Brainerd, 46 in Jackson, 47 International Falls. And here's your planner for the evening. We'll be back to talk about more sun tomorrow and some rain this weekend.